First, there was blackness, right? And then there was light. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here, sharing your most precious asset with me, and that is your time. Wow. Welcome to the Crypto Lifer Show, baby. Bitcoin going all over the place, up and down. Let's put the lemon into the water. Let's get hydrated. Shout out to each and every one of you for being here, sharing your most precious asset with me, and that is your time. Welcome to the Crypto Lifer Show, baby. Let's get that music back up and running. Shout out to everybody here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We're going to break it down. Bitcoin has been crazy volatile. I want to teach you what you would have learned in my trading group, which would have blown your mind. And we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to say that I call everything in the world, but I'm going to break it down for you and show you kind of what you would have seen in my trading group. A lot of people got caught off guard. Everyone said we were going to the downside, lower lows, right? But I saw something in the charts yesterday that blew my mind, and I posted it to my trading group. Something was off, and I said, man, that's interesting. So let's break it down. September 11th, let's kind of break down how the day began, and let's talk about it. First, you'll get a day, what it's like to be in the trading group. Let's go through a night. Here, I wake up at 7:39 and give you a Bitcoin update. I'm talking about a short likely to make a move to the downside, okay? Then what happened yesterday, we woke up. The short played out to the downside. We got a nasty dump. Everything happened the way it was supposed to, okay? And it was false move Monday. Usually you get a move faking down, and then you get a move back to the upside, right? Then I started seeing that Bitcoin had made a nice divergence and could pump up to the 200 SMA. Just one thought on my mind on the 1 minute. Smaller time frames began to build a story here, okay? That played out 2 times in a row, okay? Then I started looking at this, and I said, man, Bitcoin looks like it's about to break right back to the upside here. And I said, super gutsy to play this bullish div on the 1 hour, but it's strong and suggests a bounce back up. The safe long is the retest of 25,268, I don't even know if we did that. I feel like the candle just went straight up. But look, I'm showing you that Bitcoin is about to make a divergence move back to the upside, okay? And I said, super gutsy play, I know, but it's strong and suggests a bounce back to the upside here. I only give ideas to my students that I believe are highly likely going to play out. I had to sit here for a second, and when I put this out, it means I want, because I can keep it to myself and not say anything. If I don't say anything, nothing happens, okay? If I don't say anything, nothing happens. There we go. Get that chat rate going up. So look, if you jump into the Discord, all right, first thing you're going to get in the morning is you're going to get the updates here. Yesterday at 8:28 a.m., right, I start talking about how much they're going to dump, what's going to happen. I give you a Bitcoin update as well, all right? We talk about JoyStream, which ended up playing out to the upside. So let's just go over what would have happened yesterday. You woke up, you paid the $99, you joined the trading group. Right off the bat, you wake up 7:39 Eastern time. You get a Bitcoin update that claims that Bitcoin's likely to make a drop to the downside, and we should short a descending triangle, and we're about to get a dump. That would play out. That short would play out beautifully. You would be in the money huge. So right off the bat, you got a call to short Bitcoin at 7:40 in the morning, and it played out during the live. I also gave you another live call during the live stream in case you needed your handheld. I'm just joking around. I'm sorry, I don't know lifers need their handheld. I think it's funny to say that. Daddy needs to hold your hand, that always made me laugh, man. I'm sorry. I don't know why. But so anyway, right, then I go through FTX and what's going to happen to FTX. I show you what's going to dump and how much, all right? But then I say there's a 4-year vesting contract and it can't be sold to Solana. And so I tell you it's probably a bunch of FUD, all right? And they're probably going to wait for it to go up so they can sell, all right? Then I show you that the 15-minute is likely going to make a bounce back to the upside, right? That got a little bounce before the short, all right? You got a little bounce before the short. I just want to play, just so you didn't get into the short too early and get creamed, all right? And we talked about that. Wait for the 15-minute. Anyway, so then Bitcoin did its thing. We saw the dump, right? And then we saw the massive dump on Bitcoin. And then I saw this, by 5:28, it was looking to me like we were going to get a reversal on the 1 hour time frame to the upside, right? And I'm saying, and I believe, I'm saying Bitcoin going to rip all the way back to 26. I figured it would take a day or two. You know what I mean? At least till this afternoon. Who knew it was going to move that fast? I had no clue. But I'm watching the 15-minute for Bitcoin. It was going to make like a right shoulder here and possibly break to the upside, all right? And I was on it. And this is another thing. So then I showed you some other stuff that I was looking at on top of that, right? Then I showed you I bought $500 worth of Bitcoin at 25,143. Just keep buying BTC, all right? Talk about my long-term Bitcoin plan, all right? show you how we made the call on the live stream and it played out in case you missed the live. I talk about a real estate deal that I'm doing and kind of broke it down for you. It just showed you kind of what it's going to do, how much cash flow and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So you just get an idea of what it would be like later on in your life if that's something that you think of doing. In the back of your mind, watch the 7-minute here. If you can hold a local point. So we're looking for the BOC to hold that red line, and it looked like the 7 could pump up to the 200 SMA because that's what happens. And let me just kind of teach you this in real time. And then look, I'm showing you the inverted head and shoulder. 7-minute inverted head and shoulder may go for that 200 SMA. Looks promising. And so like now, like I basically storybooked the long, did I? I mean, I wasn't showing you a head and shoulder pattern. I wasn't saying I was going to short it. Okay. Then some motivation and a story about two guys, which is really cool about their Silicon Valley, how they ended up selling a shoe company for $1 billion and doing it just unconventionally, while other companies spent tons of money and got all this backing and actually were losing millions a day. And it just showed how if you follow your heart, and the thing is, he followed his heart when he made the decision, it says in here. Pretty interesting story. Maybe I'll read it at the end of the live if you guys want to hear it. I think it's pretty awesome. But just, inspirational ideas here. And then I put out another update at 9:20, saying Bitcoin looks long. I opened up a long. And then before I go to bed at night, I didn't want to be in the long. I close it, right? I watched the fourth quarter, like the last piece of that football game. I see that punt, and he runs the punt back. I go, I look at my phone, and I see Bitcoin just out of control, all right? But it's not over yet. This night's not over yet, right? So I see it pump 11:20, right? The football game ends. It's boom, that squeeze. And can't say I didn't warn you. And then I posted what I posted, the 7-minute inverted head and shoulder here may go for that 200 SMA. Looks promising, right? I'm just saying what other, So again, look how much for $99. I believe this day alone was worth $99. All right. At 5:29, I went over the reversal idea. Crazy how fast it moved. Super gutsy to play this bullish div on the 1 hour, but it's strong and suggests to bounce back up. All right. Had to nibble. And so then I saw a bearish div on the 7, and I took a short at one point. Okay. The short continued to grow. I felt like Bitcoin was going to dump at least back down to this 200 SMA on that. I believe it was the 1 minute time frame or the 7-minute time frame. No, it's the 1 minute I was looking at. Yep. And then we ended up with a 95% gain on the short, right? And of course, I was shorting from 11:30 to 1 in the morning, babying the trade. And then I was like, all right, it's time for bed, right? And told you 25.9 was a good short, simple way to gain. And it was at 25.6 when I closed the short. And then then the morning breaks up again. I'm back in doing a Bitcoin update, and we're kind of back where we started again. So here we are, baby. And that's kind of what it's like to be a lifer. So I just, shilling a day in the life of lifers. And what do y'all think of that? What do y'all think of the performance in the Discord, man? Because today, having a Discord is like a daily performance. You're performing for 800 people a day, every single day, making sure you're not leading people astray, making sure that if your ideas are sound and built on, proper technical analysis and fundamentals. So when people learn from you, they don't learn garbage and trash, okay? They actually get an understanding of how to actually change their lives and make money on a daily basis, right? Shout out to Lifer Adam, shout out to Love Learning, GF Burke, Sean, everybody here in the game, and shout out to D Shuffle and everybody here. So, another thing I want to point out to you is I keep singing this story, and I just don't see anyone singing the story, right? But it's this idea here that if we go candle body to candle body, and I don't use wicks, we got this swing to the upside here, but this downtrend, and it's hidden bullish divergence. Even if you did the wicks, it's an exaggerated bullish dip. You know what I mean? But I use candle body to candle body. It's an uptrend. The 3-day is about to get busy. If the 3-day can get back above this 200 SMA, what we don't want to see is the 50 come down and do a bearish cross, right? What we want to see is this. We want to see price action get some more love, break on out, cuddle the 50, have the 50 come on out and have them all get close. If the 3-day, and if we come up in here like this, and then what we'll have is some type of channel, these will get super tight. Boom, dude. And as long as this low holds, you did not close candles on the daily below the previous low. You can say whatever you want. You can kick and scream. The bears can yell. They can go, no, but it was on. They can say whatever they want about the trend. The trend is intact. Low, high, higher, low. That is a higher low. Every single candle has closed above 25,750. Not one has closed really below, maybe a little lower, like 25,700, right? Not one has closed below. So what do you say there, right? Anyway, we'll clean this up. We'll break it down for you yet again. Why not just start fresh with each and every one of you? It's good for my mind. It's good for your mind. It's good for all our minds. Let's just do it fresh, all right? The Bears crying impression was spot on, right? But I was so short. It was supposed to. I was listening to, but Capo told me 10K. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm just. But Capo said 10K was coming. I swear. The music had to stop for me on that solo. They were like, wait, give him his moment here. This is like a real good moment in time. Oh my gosh. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Appreciate each and every one of you. El Capo, man. Salam alaikum, brother. I pray for the victims in Morocco due to the earthquake. Moment of silence for the victims in Morocco. God, we don't know why these natural disasters occur, why you take your loved ones from people. But we may submit to you and stay in faith. For there's a reason for everything, and it's bigger than us and connected to the whole universe. And your plan is far larger than anything I could imagine, and I just want to submit and be a part of it and spread the love and positivity. Amen. All right, let's move on. That was a powerful prayer. I didn't even know I was going to say that. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Sharing your most precious asset with the Crypto Lifer. Samuel James Price here on Tuesday, 10:27 a.m. And we've talked about this idea too, over and over again, that we could be making this consolidated channel to the upside for Bitcoin and getting tighter and tighter before a massive explosion to the upside, into the halving, December, January, February, beautiful sideways behavior. It would only make sense. All right. 4,373, 40,373, right back to the chop. All right. Right back to the chop easy. What happened to my VR VPZ? Whoa, 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 whoa. Where you going over here? What happened to my verp? Where's me verp? Where's my verp at? If you call them zerps, you can call it a verp, right? Shout out to everybody here on the live. So this is something that I've been talking about, and it's possible. It's very possible. And I'm telling you, it's going off a hidden bullish divergence. Only thing about the hidden bullish, it says you're going to make a high higher than this high. That's what this divergence says. But only time will tell. Can the 3-day flip back above the 200 SMA? Can the 4-hour flip the 200 SMA? If the 4-hour can get back above that 200 SMA, baby, things can begin to change. The story can begin to change. The 1 hour has nicely flipped it. It flipped it once here, came back down, flipped it again. That could be the beginning of a big long. If you longed every time the 1 hour got back above the 200 SMA, let's just see, and you did it 10 times. You started here. One time, beautiful trade. One time there, nothing really, but maybe you would have caught off guard there or at break even. I don't know how fast you would have been. But let's just say it was a nothing burger at break even. So one for one for two. This one, massive. Like one of the biggest trades of your life if you were to held on to the point where it got back to the 20. So you once you break the 200, you don't sell till you touch the 200 again. You get it? That's when you decide it's over again, right? And then you can wait for another confirmation. But so now 2 out of 3, all right? And basically this one was a nice one. That one was a nothing burger. And this one was explosive, all right? One of the best trades of your life, possibly, honestly. Now it came back below. Now here, a little nothing burger kind of here. Pretty nice trade, wouldn't have been too bad. So now we're talking 5 times, 2 nothing burgers, 3 good trades, 1 absolutely insane trade. And nothing burger there, but not too bad. They're a pretty good scalp. So 3 nothing burgers, 4 great trades, One unbelievable one. Here's another unbelievable one. And this could be the beginning of another absolutely unbelievable trade to the upside. You never know. But the key is to go at, if you go, and that's the key about trading, is it's like fishing. If you have a style that you just repeat, so if you just repeat longing above the 200 SMA, now it could, you know, and again, it would be cool to have two different accounts, one that you do this on, one you do other things, you know. Sam put in some work for the community yesterday. Nice videos and in YouTube chats. Bing bong, bang, bang, bang. God bless you, brother. Floki has hidden bullish divergence in the chart. Soon it will explode. 1 hour oversold. Let's hope we can bring down the 4 hour and flip it to the 200. Seize the day. You sound like a lifer. I like what you just said. Wait for the bounce on the 200, then go long. Man, a lot of you guys are looking at a good idea there. When you long the 200 SA tomorrow, you set targets to sell. There's always a lesson to learn. Shout out to Redman in the house. God bless you for being here. So just something to think about. We're above the 200 SMA on that 1 hour time frame. I got a little carried away there. Let's get back in to some key ideas. All right. Remember, we got my Kraken chart. I remembered now. I got it now, guys. I got my Kraken USD chart, and that's going to be our go-to when we want to just look at price action and where we're going to go. You know, also this channel could be forming. See this? Bitcoin starting to make some type of channel. Well, you know, we'll see. The weekly did make a lower low, but let's take a look here. I mean, funny, the weekly did make a lower low, but it came back strong so far. And honestly, when I see buy pressure, 4 weeks of wicks. When's the last time you saw 4 weeks of wicks? 1, 2, 3, 4 at this bottom. Looks a lot like a bottom to me. You know what I mean? I'm buying a lot of Bitcoin down here. These areas to me are key. 25, anywhere between 15, 25,000 key areas to buy Bitcoin. Matter of fact, I'm going to open up the pocketbook right now. I'm going to show you what we're going to do. And I'm going to head over to MEXC. Who wants to see me buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin? Who does? You do. No, you do. No, you do. How much Bitcoin? 900, 1,200. Send in your super chats. Shout out to everybody here on the mark. Me. How much Bitcoin should I be buying? I'll ask the chat, how much Bitcoin should I be buying right now? I'll make it so you guys can't give me financial advice. How's that? How much Bitcoin is a good amount to buy today? 1,500, 500, 1,000. Build a bag. Like build a bear, I'm always building a bag. All in on the coin, he said. Buy everything in the bag. Buy every single thing that's there. You know what I mean? And don't worry, we're going to give you a trade for Bitcoin in a second. I got you. I'm just letting the dust settle right now. I know where price action... I got a good feeling where price action's going right now. It's sideways for a bit. It gives us a moment. So look, we lost key level at 28,000, which was resistance. When we fell through, your next stop was this bounce at 25.55, right? You came through this area, you wicked up, but you got back above it and used it as strong support. We're even going to bring this up right now using 25,650 as strong support here for Bitcoin. I'll even call it 25.7. I'll go as far as calling it 25,750, really. Heck, we'll call it 25.8, but yeah, 25,750 holding nicely. Had you lost that, there was a little shelf here at 24.30 and then all the way down to 21,900. If you lose that, it's 18,000. If you lose that, it's 15,610. All right. Now, Bitcoin still has some key resistance on the weekly that it can't get back above. And it even wicked to it today and, you know, on the weekly, in this week, not today, but on the week. And that's going to be 26. Oh, it did wick to it today, though. And that's going to be 26,320. See how we got rejected by the previous weekly resistance? We flipped 26.2, 26.3. I'm telling you right now, whole coin said, my man said, go for the whole coin and stop being a sallywag. You know what I mean? Just become a whole coiner and dive in. No blood on the streets for a big buy. Shout out to OMAC. Bitty Bitcoin. None, the DXY is about to pump in the coming days. Watching the 21 on the 200 on the 1 for entry. I just really like this 3-day and these buy-up wicks. It's very rare you dump after 5 wicks like that on a weekly chart. It's just very rare. I'll believe it. Anything could happen, but it's just rare. Also, this hidden bullish on the 3-day is just so interesting to me, and I play hidden bullish all the time. So, DXY, SHMEXY. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'll be a whole quarter one day. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. You're going to get exactly what you want, baby. You're going to get everything you deserve out of life. I'm telling you right now. Everybody here is, you're going to get what you want. God creates this place so you can go after what you desire, so you can help other people do the same, so you can create heaven on earth. So you can feel amazing. So you can push to higher limits. You know what I mean? That's the key here. That's what we're all here for, to inspire each other to feel amazing, to feel free, mentally free, spiritually free. Look at this, 0 spot maker and taker fees on MEXC. 0. I'm just saying, like, unbelievable. Like, so right now I'm going to purchase BTC and I'm going to pay not a fee. Are you kidding me? I'm going to go over here to spot on MEXC.com, which I just put a link here if you don't know. All right. And we will pin it for you as well on MEXC. Why I like MEXC is because if you're going to dollar cost average in the cheapest prices possible, which is now, these are the times. All right. These are the times. And this isn't perpetual. This is the actual Bitcoin gobbling up the BTC. All right. 25,192. Flip that order. Right. Or 26,192. Sorry. But I believe these are just really, really great prices. I'm going to up the ante to 750 and buy some more BTC, baby. 25, 189, 187, 189. Remember, it switches it to a lot of the money in the bag. I don't know why it does that. I'll go up to a G. You'll never regret more Bitcoin. And there you go, buying another $1,000 worth of Bitcoin here at 26,189. Fill that order, baby. Fill that order. It's been filled. More Bitcoin in the till. And I still got 25 tether. I'm telling you, I'm keeping that tether for a bigger move. I'm watching altcoins. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting to get back into Casper, number 1. Look at Ben in this beautiful cup and handle on the 12-hour time frame. Low, high, higher low. Look for it to break this and come up to that 200 SMA. Ben coin. Looking interesting just on the technicals alone. Like you could make an 80% gain out of a cup and handle to the upside. I do hold some Ben coin. Not a lot, but I do hold some, like $600 I will disclose, right? So anyway, but I do like to see what I'm seeing here for Ben coin. Right when I'm not paying attention, they get me with the weird music. Remember, lifer, not your keys, not your crypto. Yep, what happens is this crypto gets sent to a hardware wallet that I have right here. Oh my God, where is it? Oh my gosh. No, it's like, wait. They misplaced this hardware wallet. Where is it? Oh my gosh. Now you're gonna see me like, back. Where's my hardware wallet? Interesting. That's what happens when you're colorblind. Freaked you out, guys, right? I just wanted to scare you, made you think that I lost a hardware wallet. You know what I mean? Just, here's a treasure touch. And, every few days that money will go back. And, and I will not leave that money on the exchange. So, not your keys, not your crypto, baby. Shout out to everybody here. Make sure you get a hardware wallet today. Link in the description below. I use Treasure Touches. I also have right here a Tangem wallet for my Caspa. All right? Just make sure you're doing the right things for yourself. I need more GFAL, but waiting for the prices to drop again. I believe we will get lower prices on GFAL. All right? Let's take a look at Bitcoin and see what's happening on the day, see if we can make ourselves some money here in the markets. Tuesday, one of my favorite days to trade. So shout out to everybody out there. God bless each and every one of you for being here. Shout out to the 618 people on the live, 226 likes, $6 in chat revenue, 1 new member. God bless you all for jumping on in. I appreciate you. I have 3 mirrors of my ledger. I keep the other 2 with trusted family. Interesting. Stay in stable coins until November. November is the best time to load up. In my humble opinion, he's not wrong. November before a halving. Last time I loaded up November before a halving, some of those buys are still in the money to this day. You know, they are 8 cents Cardano, 8.5 cent Cardano. Shout out to everybody here on the live. All right, let's break down Bitcoin here. Let's get back to what I was about to do. Oh yeah, we went to the bigger time frames to show you guys the bigger levels. So we wanted to go to the bigger ideas and just show you, you know, divergence here kicking in, hidden bullish divergence kicking in. And it's funny, like everyone talks about the manipulation, the news and all this, but then when the hidden bullish divergence plays out, no one will talk about it. No one will talk about it. No one will talk about it. They'll just talk about, oh, you know, that's a W pattern too for the win, baby. Anyways, and honestly, if we can't get back above this key level, I'm bearish too. Like, I'm not a bull or a bear. Long term, I believe Bitcoin will go up in value. But on the short term right now, I'm not a bull or a bear. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance. I have no clue where Bitcoin's going to go. Yesterday, I did push a long and a reversal long only because I saw divergences that made me believe there was, you know, that the charts conveyed to me, whatever, not what I believe, but the charts conveyed to me a move was coming. So this is something on the radar that's possible. I don't know if you've seen it anywhere else. I don't know if anyone's shown it to you, but it's a possibility. It's just a possibility. And we'll ask Twitter, what do you think? I like to say, what do you think? But, you know. And that would be 40,000. Let's see exactly what it is. You can see how my wife said, I'll take you to typing school. I said, you know, I'm just going to have someone type for me at one point, you know. Like, don't disrespect me like that, babe. It's so funny. So, yeah. The target would be 40,000. Yeah, 373. I kept seeing that in my head. This is a possibility. What do you think? Target would be 40,373. Into the halving too. You know what I mean? Maybe add a comma. If we don't break below 26K, we could form an inverse head and shoulder in a flag. People are going crazy. They see the reversal. They're diving in. That's the same thing as saying the best bang for your buck is long every Bitcoin dump from here to the halving. Live in the light and love, positivity, and trade your highest frequency with the lifers. God bless you, brother. And follow me on Twitter. I'd greatly appreciate it. 17,784 followers on our way to 20K, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So MEXC is the spot. It's the place to be. The trading group we've shown you is the place to be. We've explained why. We showed you what a day in the life of a crypto lifer would be in the trading group. It blew your mind. I'm pretty sure it blew my mind. I can't even believe we worked that hard and we put that much out. I always feel like I'm not doing enough. I always feel like I haven't done enough. You know? And shout out to my late father, man. God bless you, Dad. I miss you more than you would ever know, brother. Where are you at? There you are. Sorry about that, Dad. Shout out to my dad, man. God bless you, Jimmy Price. I lost my dad May 1st of this year. And, man, it was sudden, too. Out of nowhere. Got a call. He was airlifted. He was gone. And just like that, my dad disappeared, man. You know what I mean? Just like that, you can lose someone you love. Just like that, your life can change. Are you ready for life to throw a curveball at you? Are you ready? Can you handle it? Can your portfolio handle it? Can your mentality handle it? Could you push through a YouTube channel streaming every day? You know what I mean? Could you maintain your business? You would have to if that's all you had, baby. You know what I mean? If trading was your life and you built a community. I was in a Pepe trade. I had to sell Pepe the day of my dad's wake, 5 days after his death. Sorry to be morbid. I'm letting it out a little bit. This is my story. And you know what? It's part of my story, man. And there's some pain involved. But you know what? There's also some gain involved. And no pain, no gain, baby. So you see me, I'm not crying. I'm not breaking down. I'm staying strong. But I love each and every one of you. And I'm staying strong because it's each and every one of you, man. God bless you. And I didn't drink last night. Drinking is a depressant. I'd probably be tearing up right now if I was drinking alcohol. Let it out, baby. I'm not letting it out. I'm keeping it in, baby. I'm keeping it in. Stop giving SBF higher prices to then dump on us. You're waking some people up. Show loved ones who always loved you. Blessings to you and your family, lifers. Sam's the most dedicated mentor of the game. He'll boost your frequency and help you gain an edge of the market. Join the 99 and get the education you deserve. Shout out to Crypto Bear Baker. God bless you. It's nice to wake up with no hangovers, isn't it, baby? What a trash way to live, right? Anyway, let's break it down. Let's see what we got to do now. So we have a key resistance right here for Bitcoin at 26,460, where this candle closed and we wicked, and then we wicked up to this area here at 26.8. So these are our next crucial areas to get back above. Okay? Super crucial. Sorry, I don't know why the VRVV kept going and disappearing on me there. Anyway. So I take a deep breath and I just look. Number one, bullish engulfing candle on the 12-hour. Beautiful. Bullish engulfer. I mean, that's beautiful. That means right now the bulls are in control. Wicks to the downside, yes. But we're not done yet. So we're going to see what happens here on the smaller time frames for confirmation. All right? Don't worry. We're going to get to the bottom of this. So here was the trend line. You broke it. You broke right back inside. Unbelievable. What a bear trap. What a bear trap. And we shorted that, and then we were able to call the reversal back to the upside. Anyone that was still in the short obviously wasn't in my trading group because I kept saying, it looks like we're going to make a move back up. We called the short to the downside. We called this as a descending triangle on the 4-hour time frame, if you remember. It's all here. It's on Twitter. This is all documented. You in my trading group, you would have made so much gains on that short, baby. And then I put out another one on the smaller time frame somewhere around here for the dump to the downside, and then they continued. Anyway, it was yesterday. Yesterday's news, isn't that crazy? I called a short. I did it live. Nobody cares, Sam. They want to see the next one today. Everyone cares about what you did today, not what you did yesterday. That's why it's all about maintaining. That's why discipline is the key, because it's not about yesterday. It's about the present moment. And remember, every time you're worried, confused, lost, you're thinking about the past and beating yourself up. So you're feeling anxiety. Or you're thinking about the future that you can't control and you don't really know what's going to happen. All you can do is control the present moment in time. If you stay in the present moment, you have control over the future and that the present can't hurt you. If you throw a leaf and it falls to the ground, it doesn't exist anymore. What do you mean? The leaf fell? Yes, but it doesn't exist. The past doesn't exist. It existed, it happened, but it doesn't exist. You get it? Anyway. Now you got this key other top level here that is just, it's a diagonal resistance range. You're definitely range bound here. In some type of range. And I saw it as this breakdown here too. Because you were riding the retest, fell out, broke back in. What a way to trip the longs and the shorts on either side. We did not get tripped because we just played simple divergences. Like there was a bullish divergence there. Play it back out. There was a descending triangle, shorted to the downside. So if you just played simple TA and not your emotional moves, you would have been able to see this. Also, losing the point of control, shorting that is a simple way to trade as well. Okay. 8-hour time frame says we have legs to the upside and we are not done. So 8 hour is pretty bullish, which is interesting. Also, the 8 hour sporting a vicious bullish divvy. That suggests this is just getting started. This reversal is just getting started. 9 out of 10 times, if you have a strong bullish divvy of this nature, you will make a high above the high inside of the divergence. You have a gap in the VRVP too, which suggests that once you get above this level, and that's why I'm looking for the retest of 25, 26.5, 26,460. I mean, boom. You can gap right up to 29,000 faster than you would believe. You'd have a little bit of resistance at 27,670, and then you'd be on your way to the races. So don't be surprised. This could definitely happen. Okay? Look at the last time we got a reversal. Tight moving averages. 200 was curving down. Tight moving averages. 200 is curving down. Bullish div. Bullish div. The last time you had bullish div on the 8 hour time frame was right here. Okay? You've double bottomed too as well on the 8 hour. A clean double bottom. Also, previous resistance right here. Previous resistance, you're just retesting an SR flip for a second time here at 24,009, possibly all the way down to 24,008. You know, I want to lower. 24,8 was like a golden, 24,6 area was like a golden pocket. Would have been a beautiful retracement. And it was this retracement here. From this impulse, we had a golden pocket right there, and it would have been oh so sweet. You know, bunch of orders down there at 23.9 waiting in the Paquito, the golden Paquito. But we got a really strong divergence here. The 8 hours saying, hey, I'm not done yet. I'm ready to rip to the upside, just getting started, to be honest, with lack of bullish momentum. So it tells me to begin to dig on the smaller time frames, because this 8 hour wants to plow to the upside. Doesn't mean it's going to take 8 hours. It means each candle is 8 hours long. If you are a beginner to trading, some people actually ask that question regularly. They say, is the 4 hour mean it's 4 hours for the trade? And you don't laugh at stuff like that. Some of you, it's not funny. People have never traded before. They don't know any of the ins and outs. They don't know the nomenclature. They don't know any of this stuff. Okay? And you're not expected to know it. No one teaches you it, right? Thank you for what you do for us. Love you, Sammy. We will meet one day in our success. To you and your family, God bless. I will meet you. I will come to Dubai. The market makers made so much money for 4 hours last night after the pump. It was fascinating to see. Y'all need to smash the likes or else the feds win. Oh, they just went back and forth crushing 100x people, But if you had a solid idea and you played your divergence, you would have made money. So if you stick with a group that knows what's up, we watch liquidity. We see smart money. We track smart money with Bookmap. Link in the description below. Bookmap showing us where the order book is and what's happening. This says 25.5 or a little more up to 26.8, 26.9. There's more liquidity to the upside, to the downside, but it's kind of a cash grab either way. Heavy wick to the downside on the 4 hour. The 4 hour getting overbought, not your best sign. All right. Heavy resistance for Bitcoin at the key level of 26,260. Which was right there, which we've already talked about 26,260 before, because this is resistance. That was where a candle closed right there. All right. Shout out to the super chat I just saw from my man Crypto Rambler for the $5 AREA. When you have a chance, thanks for all the work, Sam. God bless you and yours. You are a blessing. Let me get that loaded up just so I remember it when it's time to jump in real fast. As I'm listening to Prince. That sounded like a Prince remix. I don't know if it was, but it sounded like it. Arion Network. Thing came out of nowhere and is pumping on the weekly. Wow. In a beautiful uptrend on the weekly. I'm excited to deep dive that. I have never heard about it. Thank you so much for giving us a new coin. Every day here, you're probably going to learn about a new coin. I would write down this new coin. We're going to find out what it does. We're going to read about it. We're going to go over that coin market cap. We're going to deep dive it. And I'm excited. I've never heard about it. That's on the back burner. Stay tuned for that because I can't wait. Okay, so key level right now is this POC. You see it? Let's bring in the price action. There's a point of control right here at 26,050. We've known about it for days. We got above it, we pumped. We get below it, we know. If we do go back below it, expect a dump back to some key areas of support. There's a gap in the VRVP, 25,800, 25,900, not 25,900, sorry, 25,900 to 25,800 would be key areas we'd be looking at for a bounce, all right? So, and if we break back inside, we will, you know, come back to the bottom of this channel before. Remember, we could be in a bigger range. Wow, what an insane move, though. So we showed you the bullish divergence on the 8 hour and how the 8 hour is just getting started. So the 4 hour just has to fall into a line, which means the smaller time frames also have to do so. Let's take a look at our beautiful 1 hour time frame. 1 hour and the 21-day moving average are just a little too far apart. To me, they're going to have to, you know, come. But look what's setting up. The 21 to cross the 50, bullish. The 50 to cross the 200, bullish, right? So we're looking for some type of consolidation here. Now, it would be awesome if it consolidates up and down. This is the most bullish sign if you do this. It's unlikely because the 21 is so far that for that to happen, it's unlikely. But this is what we call the twisted sister. It'll help you trade in an amazing way. Set this up. Once we lose this trend line, you can delete the sideways consolidation, and it's going to be more of a falling wedge. You know, this has a cup and handle vibe to it, as this would be a cup, that would be a handle. We have an impulse here from these wicks. I'm going to take them, and we could have ourselves a bit of a Fibonacci. You could take this wick too, and there would be a golden pocket retracement to this point of control. 786, maybe even a 786 wick into this area. You'd also likely be bouncing off the 200 SMA with the 21 coming into price action, and that would set up for a possible bounce. All right. So I would be watching this consolidation on the 15 and the 1 hour time frame for today. It looks like sideways, you know, or more to the downside. There's a bearish div here on the 15-minute. You should heed that. And it also continues. It's called I call these double bearish divs. That's a bearish div. And that's a bearish div. So shoulder, head, maybe you make a right shoulder here. And then you know. So it's likely we go basically sideways or to the downside, and we complete the move. Also, the 7 wants the 200 in price action to get tight again, and it's kind of got a head and shoulder pattern, even though the middle one isn't that great, and it also has a divergence playing out. So right now it looks like a little bounce up or down, and let's clean this up for you. So I get, you know, you understand the twisted sister concept. If not, just stick around. It'll eventually kind of, you'll understand. But right now we are just, you know, basically just put this in a consolidative place, I get, you know, like something like this. Let me see here. Pretty weird pattern. Kind of a flag, but it does look like it's going to bounce at least to the upside one more time. Boom, you know, a little scalp up on the 7. And we got resistance at this 26,275. If you break above that and retest it, look for a move all the way to 26,750, right? 800 really. And that would be this measured move. It's very unlikely. This is unlikely, but because there's so many people shorting, a lot of unlikely things will occur. And you do see there's just more liquidity above us than below us right now at 26.5, which would also feed this, you know, feed this frenzy. So I'd watch a small scalp to the upside here. See if it makes the right shoulder, head, right shoulder. This makes the most sense. This is what I believe is the most likely scenario. Based on technical analysis, this is the most likely scenario. And we break down somewhere to these areas. That will also help the 1 hour come back to the 21. All right. So it's more likely we make some type of falling wedge, in my humble opinion, like this. And maybe we make the right shoulder that drops you down. So look for the right shoulder on the 15-minute for a short further down on the 1-hour time frame. If the smaller time frame breaks up, look for a bullish retest on like the 7 or the 5, and we will squeeze our way up. But then I still see a short further to the downside. Long term, I see a reversal. The 8-hour looks good. Just small time, like up until tonight or to this afternoon, it looks like the 1 hour is going to work out a retracement of either sideways or downward price action. And that's my update for Bitcoin. And that's exactly how I would play it. I'd be looking for the 15-minute to make a right shoulder here. That resistance area would be somewhere at 26,230, 26,250 area. Okay. That's the duck pattern, baby. The old ducky duck, huh? Okay. Soul can't melt a thing with FTX dumb. Nice duck, baby. God bless you, brother. FTX has 12 bucks. Soul about to melt faces. Spell. Someone told me to look at Spell this morning, and I forgot. I went to work out. I'm pissed. Said Spell about to go, but I guess, someone did put this out in the trading group. I like that I don't put out every call. I like that people get other ideas and setups throughout the trading group, because that's what it's about. It's a family, right? I am not a robot. I can work as hard as I can, and I still can't work 24 hours a day. MCUSD, please. It was also on Token Metrics. Shout out to Joshua Jelowick in the house. God bless you. I've been meaning to ask you how you trade KuCoin, man. DM me and just tell me how, please. Shout out to Master Friend in the house. God bless you, brother. Thank you for being here. Wow. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Shout out to everyone representing. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And may God bless everyone. Shout out to the 672 people watching on the live. And shout out to everybody here. Let's do it just a call out. We got Apartment Records hanging in there with us. We got Chaos Trading. We got Master Friend. We got Paul Wood, dude. Paul Wood. Come on now. We got Paul Wood in the house. Wait. Pocket Network had nice gains. Greg Novak in the house. Shout out to Scotty Swing, always coming through. Shout out to Zero Allegiance Zero. I have to send you your wallet. I haven't forgotten. I'm going to do it today. Man. Sending you your dang wallet, man. I think about you every day, and then somehow it never gets done. I'm going to the place to send you your wallet. I promise. I just got and hope you noticed the death crawls. God bless you, brother. Long, 23% at the moment. Pops in ICU today. Family is discussing comfort care. Sorry to hear that, man. I really am sorry to hear that. All right. Alex Cobb back in the game. Funny. Alex Cobb. This workout's amazing by Jordan Yeo Fitness. It'll blow your mind, man. It'll blow your mind. Anyway, let's get back into the mix. Spell a little bit. 7% gains. It's not going parabolic. It also has a bearish div, so 15-minute pointing down while the spell is pointing up there. Tells you might want to just be careful. All right. All right, so seize the day. I love you. Crypto Cockatoo, I love you. BOSON, funny, looking like I might want to do something. It's in such a wacky pattern, but yeah, descending. But Stokes want to do something. Not my cup of tea right now. Yeah, so I'm just long BTC, baby. You know what I mean? And you have to remember that everyone thinks the short squeeze is over. Oh my God, so many people shorted this move down. You know how many stop losses are here right now? Oh my gosh. Like, they're going to be in disbelief. You know what I mean? Crypto capo to 10K. But thank God for the short calls. You know what I mean? Because without the short calls, we could never go long, right? So hats off to them. And honestly, who knows? Maybe we do dump. I'm open-minded. Anything could happen. And that's why you don't make silly calls like that. You don't come out and call 10K when you don't have to. You know what I mean? You look at it one day at a time, one step at a time. Like, that's the right way to handle it. That's the proper way to go about it. Tell yourself that you have no idea where price action is going to go and work from there. Let's take a look at our DXY because we have to, all right? So look, a bearish div here on the 15 and a rising wedge that wants to break down 68% of the time, right? Bearish divvies. Now, it has a golden cross on bearish divvy. But, it's not always the greatest thing, but, it's not the worst thing in the world. So you could say it's making this flag here, the DXY on the 15-minute. Look at our bigger time frame. The 3-day says that the DXY is about to come home to roost. And it's about to get rejected from this trend line and fall further down, a rising wedge. Also, the moving average is far apart here, right? And you want to come down to that 200 SMA. You also see the 80 coming down to the 50, bearish, all right? And you saw that this 80 crossed the 100. That's a bearish sign when the 80 crossed. That's a death cross. That's a pre-death cross, all right? We had the double bottom. We got rejected here. We fell down, made a lower low. You could have a low here. I mean, technically, you didn't break this. You had to get, you made it. You broke that high, so fine. You could have a tiny, small uptrend, but in the big scheme of things here, you've got a big high, a low, a lower high. You would expect a lower low. So I'm expecting the 3-day to dump down to the 200 SMA here. And Bitcoin to squeeze those shorts pretty nicely to the upside based on the stochastics RSI on the 3-day chart. That's what the charts convey. Anything is possible. 2-day said it's about to start a dump as well. There was strong bearish divergence here, in case you didn't know, on the 2-day chart. When was the last time the DXY, all right, trivia question, what happened and when was the last time the DXY had bearish div on the 2-day chart? Well, Charlie, let's go and take a look at the tape. Right here, we started a bearish div. Even right there was a bearish div because this was an uptrend here, but you had a downtrend kind of there, even right there. And you started a massive dump to the downside. High stochastic, high RSI, overbought, resistance, rising wedge. Where was the third time? Well, Charlie, let's go to the tape again. Right here. And, boom. I'll tell you what, I haven't seen divergence like that since 1975. I was trading gold in Panama. I was on a ship using a satellite-infused phone. No. But look, I mean, and so you have it here again. It's a very powerful signal. Anything is possible, but it's not looking good for the dollar here based on the 2-day or the daily. This is the daily. Sorry, the daily. Forgive me. The daily bearish div here. All right. And the daily says we are about to cook. The 3-day says we're about to cook. So, and even the weekly says we're about to cook. I mean, the 4-hour just needs to give us the end game here. And what is it? Well, I drew this trend line here last night looking at the DXY. And so we just want to come up, come down, and break down from this rising wedge. And just once we lose 104.22, it'll be sayonara. And then we'll lose the 200 SMA on the 4-hour, and we will be gone. Okay? It could take 10 days. Somewhere on the 21st of September, the first day of fall, I'll be wearing my Bitcoin hoodie, right? It will be hoodie season. The DXY looks like is telling us signs of a move. When the DXY wants to take a move to the downside, you want to be paying attention to what's happening. Okay? Don't get stuck in a duck. Don't trade the duck wrong. Get ducky with us. Get ducky with me and Master Friend, all right? Bacon on the beach, baby. 4 hour is about to bust. Scotty swing, man. Kyle, Bitcoin is doing its thing. Trending like a BI. You're funny, man. Tom Achilles confirmed. Torn Achilles confirmed on Aaron Rodgers. Oh, that's so sad, man. That's something that you'll be out for a long time for. You know what? God wants him at home for some reason. And for whatever reason, he's going to be where he needs to be. You know, maybe he needs to be there for a family member or friend. I don't know. Whatever reason. You know? Crazy, though. He got called off the field his first game. It's a vicious game, man. It's a vicious game. Out for the season. Yeah, I mean, Achilles, you're done, right? Maybe he'll play one more year. Maybe he'll come back. Kind of sad, right? And that's where we was. How many years Tom Brady played without... He had one freak accident to the knee there. It's not even about how good he was. Fun. He was that good. Amazing. No, I'm not taking that away because he was that good. Unbelievable. But he was that good and didn't get hurt. Because there's been people that have been probably maybe better than him, but got hurt and couldn't fulfill such amazingness. I mean, it's nuts, right? So look for this double top. Look for a retest here. And we could even be bearishly retesting this area right here. You know, bounce, kind of a bounce, retest, drop, right? Almost make this tighter, you know, something like that. Are you bearishly retesting that in a way? And, you know, if we break back above 105.18 and then we retest, I'll change my tune and, like, I'll have to stop, you know? I'm not a perma bear or a perma bull. I'll just see what the charts convey and we'll take it from there. We will take it from there. Okay? Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Marty McFly asking about AGIX. We could possibly do that. Somehow the music got just completely stolen from me. And I'm going to try to fix it today. What is I like... And I've just been so into the charts recently, I haven't been able to, like, really give a dang. This ain't the worst, but... Anyway. Double underline. I mean, yeah, it's a death cross late August, but we slowed our way down. Watch smaller time frame for a change in the direction for the 21. Same thing happened with Favre. He still gets $75 million, though. Isn't that amazing? Good for him, right? So 46% said I should go for the 1,500 and go for the gusto. All right? Stop being a Sally. All right? So I guess that's what's going to have to happen. You're going to have to go hard or go home, right? Book of the Week, The Kings of Crypto by Jeff Roberts and The Golden Key by Emmett Fox. Happiness, health, wealth, and prosperity to all the lifers. Have a great week. And write down these books of the weeks. I posted them to Jamie so Jamie could write them down for me. I'll even just keep them in the chat. All right. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. You see my work on the DXY. Funny, I like people call technical analysis work. A lot of people come up to me, I love your work. I love your work. Like, it's art, you know what I mean? And it's funny because it is an art. It's like, yo, I love your work, man. It's like, thank you. It's very nice of you. I just, you know, I never knew I was going to be a known technical analyst, and I never knew I was going to meet people in the street and they were going to say, hey, I love your work, or only at a conference, but I love your work. It's like, and I know I'm sounding conceited right now, but what I mean is I just expected people to be like, oh, I like your YouTube channel, or, you know what I mean? Oh, I like your charts. Yeah, I never expected people to come up to me and be like, I love your work, you know? I was like, well, wow, it was so professional sounding. I was like, oh, wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, so shout out to everyone that did come up and tell me they love my work. You guys are the best. You blew my head up, all right? No, but it's pretty honorable and very nice. And it shows that people consider this work. And what I mean by like a piece of work, like a piece of art, like something different, you know? So look, we're in this giant kind of cup and handle here in a way. Not amazing, but, you know, pretty big. You're coming back to use the 200 SMA as support. You did break out. Bitcoin dominance has broken out. If this continues to pump, the altcoins could see some sideways price action. Some altcoins will follow, but a lot will take a bit of a hit. The BTC pair specifically will take a bit of a hit. And look at Bitcoin dominance back to 50. That's pretty dangerously bold, right? And it's looking strong right now. So 12-hour curtailed, 4-hour, it's saying, hey, it's strong. I mean, the 3-day just getting started. It is really far away in the moving averages, though, which is, usually not when you get a big pump. Which tells me that it's usually just going to play, it's going to mainly do something like this. Come back down to the 200 SMA. So I see a pump happening, but possibly a double top or a right shoulder, just based on how far away these moving averages are. But the stochastics, if I didn't see the moving averages that far apart, based on the stochastics, the MACD, and the RSI, I mean, I'd be all over this. This thing looks so aggressive for a pump to the upside. So, and anything is possible. But just when I see the 21 and the 200 that far apart, it tells me that we're going to have to get some type of pullback at one point. But I'd watch Bitcoin dominance just in the next couple weeks. It looks like we could get a move here. All right. Let's take a look at that AREA. And what is it? It's got a $14 million market cap. 21 cents. The Arion network. This guy says, I'm bullish on Arion. The teams are really putting in lots good work. Can't wait for the test net. This project is undoubtedly going to moon. Sound like someone who really wants to show their own bag. Great team and potential community. Will be a ton of potential project. Go to the moon. I mean, people love saying that, right? And it's the same guy every time. Okay. Let's see. Max supply. Total supply, 500 million. That's not too bad compared to some of these coins that are in the billions. Fully diluted market cap, $108 million. All right. Self-reported circulating supply, 13%. So a lot more of the coin has to come out, right? It's not a good thing, right? 6.8 million of the 500 million are out. So we, that makes sense. Yeah. So we just, you want to have coins that basically have more of their coins out than in. And what I mean is like actually being being put out to the community. So we're going to grab the BNB smart contract address. This thing's on MEXC. It's on Bitmart. It's on PancakeSwap. So it's a very small coin. Now let's just look at the technical. So I don't know if it's going to be a long-term hold for me. You never know. I always dabble. But let's take a look now at if it's worth, maybe even just taking a scalp on. 3-day chart is a little overbought, but doesn't have enough real data to really hone in on that. But it is, it is a stochastic that is getting to the higher side. 2 days, interesting. The daily is interesting. It came down for a strong resistance, which was a support. And it's funny, if you pull a fib here, it was pretty right on top of the 618. And actually, if you just bring this up, because the impulse was really right there, it really did hit the 618. It has a resistance at 22,885 and a resistance up here at 29,970. It did a little SR flip right there too. And kind of look at a shoulder, a bit of a head and a right shoulder there. That could break you to the upside. All right. So interesting. It's got a trend line that it's beginning to build. And this in and of itself has a mini fib here too as well. And you can see that you did come down to that 618 wick and did get a bounce to the upside. So now we can start to kind of really tell a story, right? And we seem to have this resistance here, right above price action. You can go on the wicks if you want. I'm not a big wick guy, but you can go on the wicks. So you're forming some type of possible consolidation. Let's move in. 4 hours showing signs of life. And like it's almost in another ascending triangle inside of this one, right? So I'm just making sense of this. So the FAR looks like you could get some move. You get tight moving averages. You've bounced off fibs already. You've got a high, you've got a higher low. You're going for the higher high. Can you break this resistance at 23? The key area would be a breakout and retest of this area, right? For, more confirmation. This does have kind of a shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder vibe to it too as well. This has a cup with a handle vibe as well. That could be the cup right here. That could be the handle for a bigger breakout. Your measured move there would be the length of this wick to wick out of the handle, which tells you could get up all the way to 29 and maybe even push forward up into that, 28.5 and up to 29. Looks somewhat promising. When you look at all price action, you got a high volume node and you're in a gap, which tells me we can get up to 24 and you'll have some resistance there. And the 1 hour looks like it's ready to possibly open up for some gains. So, I mean, yeah, there's a chance. The only thing I see a bearish div here is that moves up. But we could say, you know what? I feel like the bearish div was here. We dropped down. We recovered, and it's over now. So, I like it. I like what I'm seeing here. Tighter inside of a channel. And, look for the bullish retest, possibly of 21.9 on a really small time frame, 5 or 7. But it's high risk because it's very small market cap and anything could happen. And I don't know about the project alone. So, but yeah, everything looks like you could get a bit of a move here to the upside. The probabilities are more in a favor of a move to the upside than to the downside. All right. Crypto Library Super Chats, Render, JASMY, MC, and AGIX. Let's take a look at Render, a favorite now. Really, people really like talking about this coin. I'm going to do a price prediction on this coin because it's really getting a lot of love. So I've been looking at Render for a possible move, and I'll tell you why. I'm a 3-day chart guy. My 3-day charts are all getting higher lows with moves to the upside on the stochastics. I pulled my Fibonacci's, and we're bouncing off 786 retracements. I mean, these are key areas of support where you likely get a bounce. You've come here, had a high, had a low, had a higher high, had a higher low, expect a higher high in the trend so far. So we got an uptrend on Render. We've traded it before for massive gains. We waited for the retest. These are key areas where Render would probably be a nice buy, areas to build a bag for Render. Render looks like a nice 10, easy 10 to 20x. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say and do should be taken as financial advice. But to me, Render is at easy 10 to 20x, something we could definitely squeeze a gain out of. Render looks interesting to me, for sure. So, Render on the radar. Render definitely on the radar. Let's look back at our daily time frame. Our daily's a little overbought for Render and didn't get back above a key resistance area. What does that mean? Well, it means that Render may have to go sideways here for a bit or just get a huge spike of the market, which pushes it back above 160. And then anything really above 160 to me would be a beautiful, any retest of that would be a beautiful move. Possible kind of a shoulder there. You see that head and a right shoulder. We zoom in a little bit. That same thing we were kind of looking at on the last coin, right? Looks like you did break out of this tighter channel and you're up here now. 1 hour time frame also, so here, if it can begin to build, it's above the 200 SMA on the 1 hour. These are good signs, but, flag it out. If that flag stays intact, not only is that a possible scalp for Render on the 1 hour, but it could just, begin the beginning of a bigger move and get us back above 160. 160 is a key resistance. We flip 160, Render can really start to get that momentum, okay? The key, too, is are you looking at coins on the weekly? All right? The weekly chart is an amazing chart for accumulating all coins. Last time accumulating Render on the bottoms was right here. And you can't see it, but if the weekly stochastics were here, that would be low too, right? Just not big enough for the algorithm to kick back on that in time. But the weekly is so low right now, screaming for accumulation, all right? And so we'll go to total 3 right now too, because total 3 is the total market cap of all the altcoins. All right. And I talked about the fact that altcoins likely bottomed based off this bullish divergence here on the weekly. It's a very rare indicator that you don't normally see. Now, I'm not guaranteeing anything because anything is possible. We live in a universe of insane results and movement and up and down. And, you know, there's no way I can guarantee exactly what the human race will do on price action. But what I can show you is all the past times that weekly divergence occurred. And it's very rare. And it 99.9% of the time is a bottom. All right. So, yeah, let's jump on in to that testimony. I think that's a good idea. Let's see here. Let's take a look here.
Chairman Gensler, have you ever spoken to anyone at the White House about your investigation of Donald Trump's Truth Social?
Sir, I don't speak.
Yes or no?
I don't know, sir. I'm going to answer the question.
Oh,
I don't speak to the White House
this is
about
hot.
anything.
This
in our
is so hot
enforcement,
right now.
Group or our investigations.
This is
So I'm mindful
hot.
of, thank you for the answer. I'm mindful of the time here. So let me just offer
Gary
one
G
final
on
observation.
stage, guys.
I have little hope that I could persuade you that hiring committed partisans and using the regulatory powers of the SEC in a way that looks and I think is politically partisan is a true threat to American democracy. But maybe I can appeal to your sense of self-interest. If you guys use the SEC in such a politically motivated way, eventually you're going to be out of power. And I have to say, Chairman Gensler, turnabout is fair play. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I just, sir?
Oh,
sir, I'm very
1-2
proud of
punch
the
to
agency,
go,
and I'm proud of the Division of
ba-doom.
Enforcement and my fellow commissioners in considering these matters. The one matter the senator mentioned actually was settled
hit him
earlier
so
this
hard,
year,
yo.
and it was not with the former president. It's with the company, and it's all a matter of public record, that settlement.
Thank you, Chair Gensler. Senator Van Hollen of Maryland's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Gensler, and thank you for your response to the last question you just received.
This is crazy.
And, I've known
I need
you
to see
for
the
a long
chat. Y'all are
time, and
crazy.
I've also known you as a person who always follows the rules in public interest. So I'm glad to have you chairing the SEC. And you brought a focus on transparency to adapting to changing market conditions and the needs of the investing public. And I want to thank you for your efforts to strengthen the rules against insider trading. Senator Fisher and I had introduced a bipartisan legislation urging the SEC to move in that direction, and you and the others did by tightening the
three-piece with a side of
so-called
fries.
safe harbor rule to prevent it from being used as a backdoor for insider trading. I also want to commend you on your role along
David
with the
Ryan, sure. Email my
PCAOB
wife.
in
She'll hook you up.
implementing the legislation that was passed, authored by Senator Kennedy and myself, on holding foreign companies accountable in order to make sure that companies based in China, especially, were not using funny accounting rules to mislead investors about the health of their financial balance sheets. And Senator Kennedy and I are working now on the holding foreign insiders accountable legislation, which is now part of the NDAA. We hope it will pass and look forward to working with you on implementation. Now, when it comes to greater disclosure and transparency, I did want to turn to the issue of private equity. And there have been a number of questions surrounding the need for greater transparency in private equity, given the size of private equity in our market, about $20 trillion today. I want to ask you about an aspect of that that has not come up, which is the role of sovereign wealth funds investing in private equity. Because the Congress has tightened the CFIUS rules, we see less direct foreign investment by China-based sovereign wealth funds directly into companies. But we have seen a big increase over the years of investment from
15-minute may
sovereign
get a
wealth
pump
funds,
here.
or
I would watch
state-backed
this 15-minute,
investors,
everybody.
such as the State Administration
It's in
of
a
Foreign
flag.
Assets, SAFE, and the China Investment Corporation, CIC, into private equity. Now, on the one hand, private equity managers here argue that these are not voting members, that this is passive investment, no direct control over the decisions or operations of these funds. On the other hand, as the size of these investments grows, a number of people have raised concerns. In fact, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put into the record, with unanimous consent, a Financial Times article dated May 30th, 2023, titled, "Has China Become Too Cozy with Private Equity?" ?
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in that article, it says that because of the lack of transparency, it's a black box. This is Lily McKelwey, who's a China expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. It's not something the U.S. and others have been able to address, mainly because it's so opaque. That was the quote from that individual. The article goes on to point out that we really have no visibility into these investments, and talks about the fact that, especially after the Russian invasion of Ukraine and sanctions against Russia, this became a more important issue for investors in private equity. Could you just talk briefly about how you think about this right now, both the need for greater disclosure in private equity broadly, and I know there's an ongoing case, but could you talk also about this issue of foreign sovereign wealth funds and their huge investment in private equity, and whether that raises concerns and need for greater transparency?
Under our laws, investment advisors here in the U.S. can advise asset managers, including sovereign wealth funds, all around the globe. And if they're properly registered, the advisor has to be, complying with their laws. And you're right, we do have a recent adopted rule about private fund advisor transparency. You're speaking to something about the investors behind that, which, though we have some role to play at the SEC, is also a very important role for other agencies like the Treasury Department, and as you mentioned, CFIUS is a collection of other agencies, not including the SEC. So I'm sort of be interested to follow up to understand what you're thinking, whether it's something legislatively or otherwise. But we as an agency are neutral about which investors from which countries the investment advisor is advising. Our jurisdiction doesn't really go there as long as they're complying with anti-money laundering laws and the like.
I was just
Well,
thinking about
I
that
do
last
look
night.
forward to
Just wanted to
following
bring that
up.
up.
Thank you, Senator Brown.
Take my
Senator
hand,
Lamas,
my
Wyoming's
other hand.
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Mr. Gensler. My questions are substantially nerdier than my colleagues, but nevertheless, I think they're really important. I'm going to start with Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, which I've been harping on for about a year in relation to the Lummis-Gillibrand Responsible Financial Innovation Act. So Staff Accounting Bulletin 101 requires that companies, including banks, place crypto assets under custody on their balance sheets. And even Fed Chairman Powell has agreed that this is unprecedented in financial regulation in the U.S. So my first question is, you've said repeatedly that this is to provide greater consumer protection. And like we saw in the Celsius bankruptcy last year, when thousands of customers were made unsecured creditors, isn't it true that placing custody assets on the company's balance sheet could result in consumer assets being seized by creditors in the event of a bankruptcy, and that would hurt consumers?
Senator, thank you for actually going down, as you say,
The rabbit hole.
more technical rabbit holes, and I'll be glad to go there. It's actually, you're absolutely right about this Celsius finding, but what was interesting in that bankruptcy finding is a judge said these are not segregated protected assets. By and large, that the investors were just lining up in bankruptcy, and that was regardless of a staff accounting bulletin that the SEC put out, because Celsius was a private company. The staff accounting bulletin was staff advice on how to do accounting in public companies. And the reason the staff came to that conclusion, and which is different than for stocks and or bonds in custody, is because the laws in the US right now tend to be that you can't readily, easily segregate those crypto assets the way Celsius was taking it on, and that judge said, you're just in line. And by the way, that's also happened at Voyager, it's happened at FTX, it's happened at Terra Luna, it's happened at each of these various bankruptcies.
Well, let's then talk about the relationship of Bulletin 121 to banks. So the requirement prevents banks from offering crypto asset custody because it requires the assets to be backed 1-for-1 by US dollars. And if that standard were applied to legacy custody banks like BNY Mellon, they would have to have trillions in regulatory capital. So that prevents the most heavily regulated financial institutions in the country from offering custody. So if your ultimate goal is to provide real consumer protection, shouldn't the SEC withdraw Staff Accounting Bulletin 121 to allow banks to provide custody?
So the Staff Accounting Bulletin is just about public companies and how to properly
we
show
got
that
Bitcoin
to
price here,
investors
26,190
in
on Bookmap.
those banks.
Liquidity to the upside.
And it's investors,
26,500
not the people
looks
getting the custody.
likely.
The bank regulators are free to address how they treat capital, however they wish to treat capital. But this is just about, is the balance sheet have those custodied crypto as a liability, but they also have the crypto as an asset. We don't speak to how it's backed. That's up to the bank regulators.
Okay, thank you. I want to turn to the SEC's pace of rulemaking. Let's use, for example, the proposal on the use of predictive data analytics to regulate not just AI, but an overly broad description of covered technology, encompassing all uses of technology in a firm down to adding together numbers in a spreadsheet. Even numbers in a financial firm pass through spreadsheets. So my concern here is this rule is going to follow the pattern of others, such as the money market fund reforms proposal, where unworkability means the end rule looks very different from the proposal. The documentation requirements of this rule are so demanding that the industry will not be able to comply. So will you commit to re-proposing the use of predictive data analytics rule if, or rather when, the commission arrives at a different approach?
And be brief in your answer, Chair Gensler.
Again, we take public comment serious. If we make adjustments, it's based upon whether it's been properly noticed and it's a logical outgrowth. And so we commit to taking public comment seriously.
Thank you, Senator Lummis. Senator Smith from Minnesota is recognized from her office.
And Ranking Member, and thanks so much, Chair Gensler, for joining our committee today. Chair Gensler, when you were here last fall, I asked you about the materiality of climate risk disclosures, and I think that you very effectively explained why this information is relevant to investors so that they have good information and can make informed decisions about their investments. And so it's been a year, and meanwhile, the rest of the world is moving forward. The EU and the UK and the International Sustainability Standards Board have all recently taken steps to implement robust climate disclosure standards. And of course, this will be reverberating across the globe economically. In fact, it's estimated that 3,000 US companies will be subject to these EU standards. So my question, Chair Gensler, is I understand that you can't comment on ongoing deliberations, but could you comment on how you see U.S. leadership on this issue, why you think this is important, and what level of urgency you feel to complete this rulemaking process?
I thank you. It's really about bringing comparability and consistency to that which is already happening, that many U.S. issuers are already disclosing climate risk information, and investors are making investment decisions. And so we just look at it really within that
He's so weird.
decades-old tradition that the SEC addresses itself to material disclosures and comparability.
And to this point of sort of urgency of establishing and making clear what that comparable standard is, what people can, what standard and expectations we should have around disclosures. When do you think this might be done?
Again, we try not to do things against the clock. It's really when the staff is ready and the commission is ready. We got about 16,000 public comments. The private funds rule that was being discussed a little earlier took us about 19 months or so from proposal to adoption. But again, I don't want to predict on this one. There's a very heavy comment file, and really important issues have been raised around the discussion I had with Senator Tester earlier about Scope 3, but over
Scope 1,
a number
Scope
of other matters
4.
as well, and we're looking at
Scope
staff
7.
recommendations on how to deal
This guy's
with those
the worst,
comments.
man. The scopes, whatever. God bless
Okay,
everybody.
thank you.
I won't say any negative about anyone.
I want to
God bless everybody.
dive in on I was smiling to myself as Senator
bless him and his
Lummis was
family.
talking about getting nerdy on you. So I'm going to dive in for my last question on something that is maybe equally nerdy, but really important. As you know, the Registration for Indexed Linked Annuities Act, which I led with Senator Tillis, was enacted last year. And what this legislation does pretty simply is require a tailored registration form for these kinds of index linked annuities, so that consumers that want to purchase these products have good, clear, concise information. So I want to thank you and your staff for working with us on this legislation and its implementation. And I'm wondering if you can share any updates for us on how that's going and when we might be able to expect a first draft.
It's going well. Congress also set a deadline, if you think of a total of 18 months to not only get a proposal, but to get a final. But one of the pieces that we're working on is Congress also, in that legislation that you co-authored, we had to do some investor testing. And so there's two pieces. It's the investor testing, and it's also the proposal, bringing that up to my fellow commissioners, trying to vote it out, get public comment, and also with an eye towards adoption in the full 18 months that you had laid out.
Well, good. Well, thank you, Chair Gensler. I appreciate your attention to that. Mr. Chair, I cede back my time.
Thank you, Senator Smith. The chair recognizes Senator Britt.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Chair Gensler, thank you for being here today. We have heard a lot of various things on both sides of the aisle, but in particularly over here about aggressive rulemaking and that agenda. Over the last 2 years, the SEC has proposed nearly double the number of rules that your two predecessors proposed within the same amount of time. The only time we've seen this pace of activity is when the SEC was implementing Dodd-Frank, those provisions after the financial crisis. So the difference here is that your agenda is not being driven by congressional mandate or widespread market failures like we saw in 2008, and that makes me concerned. In fact, it's quite the contrary. 83% of your proposals are not required by Congress.
She's nerding out.
And we have yet to see a market failure that warrants this many new proposals and regulations. Even your own former Inspector General raised concerns about the pace of the activity within your agency and said staffing issues may affect the quality of these rulemaking. To add to this, I believe you have failed to provide the public with justification for these sweeping regulations and have failed to allow for robust public comment period due to fully understand the broad implications on the market. It makes me think, what constituency is the SEC actually listening to? I don't believe it is the average mom and pop or a 401k investor in the state of Alabama. It seems to be a small handful of politically aligned investors. It's my belief that we want to encourage people to go public so that more people have an opportunity to invest and share in the fruitfulness of the market. I am concerned that some of the things that are going on are going to actually deter people from doing just that.
Of course they are.
There are countless examples that we have
100%.
seen, but I want to ask you about the anticipated proposal that I heard Senator Warner ask you about, the human capital disclosure. So when can we expect to see that proposal issued?
Thank you. It's good to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
I worked a lot with your former senator from your great state, Senator
Yes,
Shelby.
absolutely.
Again, we don't do things so much against the clock. We
how
wanted to
nice.
see
Oh,
what
how
those
nice.
first couple of years
So
of
nice to
filings
know.
look
Thank
like.
you.
Chair Clayton
So
and
happy
the
to know
SEC
all
have put
that.
something in 2020. We've looked at those. We looked at the data, and the staff is working through.
So tell me on that, actually.
recommendations.
So August 2020 is when that
STF.
was implemented. It seems that when you look at that, we've had a 3-year time period, but the vast majority of that has been during the COVID time period, and the implications on workforce and these things may not be an adequate representation of what they may be in the future. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think it was a very unusual time for our nation, for sure, but this is about the public filings and seeing how public companies had adjusted their disclosures.
So what is
based on that.
missing, and from your perspective, from the 2020 implementation that needs to be adjusted or expanded here?
What staff is looking at is the filings and how those disclosures are informing investors about a very important material asset, the human capital itself. And it's possibly around the total dollars spent on
So
workforce and the turnover.
So we don't know when you're going to when we'll see that, is what you said. I'm clear on that, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then, but once you bring it forth, how long do you expect to leave the public comment period open for such an important rule?
Well,
day.
we'll make that determination at the time, but all of our.
What is the
all-
threshold? Can you help me with that?
So all of them since January of '22 have been out to public
Average.
comment at least for 60 days from when we voted out of the commission.
Really?
And on average, it's been about 70. And I would say even beyond that, because it takes 12 to 24 months to finalize a rule, we continue to take meetings, we continue to take comments, and staff considers those comments.
I am running out of time, so I'll make it quick. Last question. Can we expect to see a proper, robust cost-benefit analysis when you do release this? Obviously, we've been talking about it or hearing you talk about it for 2 years. I am hopeful that you will truly take into account the downstream effects of whatever you propose. I think that some of the things that we've seen, in my opinion, have been half-baked, and I am hopeful with something with such large implications that we will see a very
That was a great
thorough
movie, by the
analysis
way. I
and
wonder
how
if
it
she
goes
likes
all
Dave
the way
Chappelle.
down to a lot of the smaller entities that I'm concerned about.
We do robust economic
She
analysis
might
on
eat
rules,
Ben and
so
Jerry's
thank
ice
you.
cream.
Appreciate your time.
She was
Thank you,
she
Senator
was
Bray. I
into some
recognize
half-baked
myself,
ice cream
Chairman
last
Gensler.
night.
It's good to see you. I have several questions for you today and limited time, so please keep your answers concise and specific.
Ooh, she
I
started
hope I
off
don't
with-
have to, but I will interrupt if needed to keep moving on. A year ago, in October 22, the SEC's Office of IG provided its annual report on the most serious management and performance challenges at your agency. Members of various divisions in your organization raised concerns about resource management due to the increase in the SEC's rulemaking activities. As we've discussed, I appreciate your desire to protect consumers and investors and your goal of ensuring that the U.S. capital markets remain the most sophisticated and best in class. These are broad goals that are good for business and good for our country, but how we accomplish those goals matters. The IG report illustrates an SEC with a marked increase in attrition, difficulty in hiring qualified talent, and over-reliance on detailees with no rulemaking experience. These are fundamental problems that call into question the quality of rulemaking that the agency is capable of producing.
Wow.
Now, ambitious agendas under these constraints can result in poorly written rules that can hurt Arizona's access to economic opportunity. So what have you done since October of 22 to address these management challenges?
Part of it is, with Congress's help, is hiring more people. I'm very proud to say that the partnership of public Service actually looked
He's
at
like
us
private
and we
equity.
went up in the
I mean,
ratings that we're the third highest rated agency. But you're right, our attrition has moved up, and our attrition moved up in part because it's a very tight job market, and we're about 6 or 7% attrition. That means the average employee stays about 16 years.
I'd like my staff to be briefed by your staff in terms of the specific progress that you've made. So I'll have my team follow up with you.
I thank you for that.
Your own division managers raise these bandwidth concerns with the IG, and do you assess whether or not a division has adequate bandwidth to conduct a particular rulemaking before directing them to engage in that rulemaking? And if so, how do you make that assessment?
We do it with each of the main divisions, investment management, trading and markets, corporate finance, have a rule team. And we do that with the leads of those rule teams that are career staff. And we also do it with the Division of Economic Risk Analysis about their bandwidth, as you say, in each of those groups.
The IG report also cites shortened timelines during the drafting process and shortened public comment periods as factors that your staff indicate may be resulting in less feedback during this process. We've spoken about this before. I want to ensure that stakeholders and the public have time to weigh in on these actions. As we've discussed, more sophisticated firms have armies of attorneys on retainer, but small businesses and retail investors need more than 30 days or 60 days to understand the impact on their business and provide feedback, particularly since these rulemakings are very complex and there are multiple rulemaking processes happening at the same time. So does your agency value hearing from small businesses and retail investors, and how are you ensuring that they have adequate time and the use of their own resources to provide feedback on your agency's actions?
We do value the input of small businesses, of everyday investors.
I mean, these are great questions, and it sounds like she got together with a group of people that care.
Elsewhere to try to encourage people to comment on
what's supposed to happen
on our rules. And I would note this for the public, whether large, sophisticated investors or everyday investors, we continue to take meetings and continue to get comments.
That's not what I heard from Coinbase
generally
and
year
XRP.
to 2 year
Coinbase said they tried
processes,
everything
and
they could to meet
very
with you guys, and you
beneficial
refused to meet with them.
The SEC staff also raised concerns that the increase in rulemaking activities had resulted in a
I wasn't
trade-off in
there,
other
so who
mission-related work because they've had to borrow staff to do their work. Has bandwidth allocated to increase rulemaking
Watching a
traded off
possible
with your
right
bandwidth
shoulder
for
here on the
enforcement?
1 minute time frame,
I
7 minute
think
really.
the biggest trade-off is that we shrank from 2016 to 2021, and we're only right now about 3% larger than we were 7 years
Gap in
ago.
the VRVP.
But
you know.
our enforcement division of about 1,300 people, which is about a quarter of our overall staff, it's not a trade-off because our policy shops are in different parts of the agency.
So my last question is, your staff raised concerns with the IG that when moving more aggressively with rulemaking, the SEC is opening itself up to increased litigation risk. We've seen some recent legal setbacks for the agency, particularly in respect to cryptocurrency. So how are you assessing the agency's litigation risk with respect to the breadth of your rulemaking strategy?
We take Congress's mandates to us and the authorities we have very seriously, but also how the courts interpret them. And we're dedicated and committed to doing things just within our authorities and how the courts interpret it, but we get a lot of feedback also from the public on that.
Mm-hmm. My time's expired. I'll follow up in further questions later. Senator Daines, you're recognized.
And she nailed her time, too.
Thank you, Senator Sinema.
No one had to tell her.
Chairman Gensler, I want to start by expressing my ongoing concerns with
She does what
truly
she's supposed to. She comes to
unprecedented
the
rulemaking
place and she asks the questions
he
that her
pursued since
constituents
taking over at the SEC. I remember when I ran for Congress the first time back in 2012. We talked about the rising power of the fourth branch of government. This executive branches now that I believe, if our founding fathers saw what's going on, would say there's way too much power and rulemaking by fiat going on there and really lawmaking. Whether it be your crusade against digital assets or your attempts to use the SEC to further the administration's climate agenda at the expense of taxpayers, there appears to be hardly a sector of the U.S. economy that you view as out of reach of your rulemaking authority. In the nearly 28 months you've been in office, the SEC has proposed or finalized 47 substantive rulemakings. Of these rulemakings, more than 80% were not required by congressional statute. Wow. This means that the vast majority of the agency's rulemaking agenda has been voluntarily undertaken. Chairman Gensler, you are not an elected official that's beholden to your constituents. You are an unelected bureaucrat who has taken it upon himself to reshape American financial markets to your liking, to the detriment of innovation, of investors, and small businesses. One such rule that's facing broad opposition from across the ideological spectrum, left and right, is the agency's swing pricing proposals. I've heard many concerns that the SEC's swing pricing is both unworkable and extremely harmful for Montana seniors and individual investors. A hard close would also create significant and unavoidable disparities between investors based on their geographic location as well as their investment type. Even far-left groups like the Consumer Federation of America have expressed opposition to the proposal, noting that, quote, the tangible and significant costs associated with the proposed implementation of swing pricing are very likely to outweigh any perceived benefits, end quote. Given the broad bipartisan agreement that swing pricing will impose significant costs on investors with limited benefits to the broader markets, do you still intend to advance this rule in the face of what I would argue is overwhelming opposition?
If I might, I just want to mention something in the generic. We have about 50 policies on the agenda, 50 projects on the agenda. My immediate predecessor, Chair Clayton, successfully finalized 64 adopting rules. It may be that you and I might have differences on the policies, but it's not out of line with what happens. In terms of your specific question with regard to this rule, you're right, we've gotten significant feedback. There's kind of three pieces. There's about the liquidity of the underlying funds. There was this swing pricing, and then a third thing about the sort of back office plumbing, but really relevant, this hard close. And we got some very significant comments, particularly on the swing pricing and hard close. And we're taking a very close look at that to see what's appropriate and whether to make adjustments. And as we go along, I can't pre-commit whether we'll finalize or not.
I want to talk about the SECs. And by the way, that comment I made about the rising power of the fourth branch, that's a bipartisan comment, whether it's Republicans in charge or Democrats in charge. I truly believe the founding father here today, they say there's way too much power. And
there
really,
probably a lot they wouldn't recognize.
Really too much, lawmaking authority done through, executive fiat that occurs in a bureaucratic branch of government. Turn to the SEC's proposed rule requiring disclosure of financed emissions. One significant impact of this rule is that it will likely lead to widely inaccurate disclosures that will be of little practical use to investors. It appears to me this is just another step in an agenda to discourage investment and access to finance from legal industries to drive an ideology. I have serious concerns that you even have the legal authority to enact such a rule, and I would urge you to withdraw this rule. My question then is, what would give the SEC authority to circumvent Congress and enact rules by executive fiat?
So we do all that we do, and this climate risk rule included, based upon Congress's authority. This is built on multi-decades authority about disclosure. And in fact, President Roosevelt called it initial bill the Truth and Securities Act. And nothing could be further from the truth. We have no climate agenda whatsoever. We're not a climate regulator, sir, but over 80% of the top 1,000 companies in 2021 have been making climate risk disclosures, and 5% were making greenhouse gas disclosures. So it's trying to build some comparability of that which is already happening. We got a lot of feedback. We're going to have to look at that feedback. We're gonna have to
Everyone, check
think
out
about what
ITrust
to do
Capital.
with so-called
ITrust
scope
Capital.
three, as Senator
Link in the
Tester and I
description below
talked
and the
about.
QR code.
We're gonna
Move
have
your
to
Roth
think about
IRA
a lot
over
of other pieces
today.
of this, but
You
it's
could trade
trying to
crypto
bring
tax-free inside of your
comparability
IRA.
to that which is already happening.
Amazing,
We're not a climate regulator, sir.
I'm out of time. Thank you.
Senator Reed.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Mr. Chairman, welcome. Could you give a description of the growth, the size, and the power of the private equity sector over the last 25 years, how they've moved into banking, insurance, real estate, a host of other things? And do you believe that these entities are now competitive to banks and large banks and also potentially systemic risks?
The private funds business, not just private equity, but hedge funds and venture capital, it's about $26 or $27 trillion of assets under management. 25 years ago, there was a report. I helped as a staffer help write it, so I remember this. The President's Working Group report after long-term capital management failed. And at that point in time, the entire field was less than $1 trillion. So it's grown significantly in terms of its comparison to banking. The total commercial banking sector in the U.S. is about $23 trillion. And again, you heard the numbers I just said about this sector. And it can be systemically important. It was systemically important 25 years ago when long-term capital management was on the teetering on the brink of failure. The field is systemically important today.
Now, are advisors to public funds required to maintain AML, anti-money laundering programs, know their customers, and file suspicious activity reports as banks are required to do? And if not, are you concerned about this, particularly with some discussion that reports of Chinese Communist Party-linked companies and Russian oligarchs using private equity funds to invest?
The Bank Secrecy Act gives key authorities to both the U.S. Treasury, but also we have some authorities, and we've been working alongside of them. The answer is they have certain responsibilities. The investment advisors have certain responsibilities with regard to these funds, but we are in discussions about whether there might be important further steps to take consistent with the Bank Secrecy Act.
Now, since these funds and the private funds, both hedge funds, private equity, et cetera, are, as you've indicated, the larger ones, systemically important, should they report publicly as our public companies do? I mean, they control as much, and one might say even have more leverage over the economy than some of the publicly reporting companies.
It would be a choice of Congress. Our disclosure regime is for public companies where there's over a certain number of investors, or if you're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. These private funds are private in part because they're not listed on the stock exchanges and they don't have over a certain number of investors. So the disclosure that we have recently adopted a rule is just further disclosure to their investors around their fees, their performance, their side letters. But again, Congress could decide to broaden that out.
And would you think that would be an appropriate response, or?
We're a disclosure-based agency. It's about the investors and the investors getting sufficient information to make informed investment decisions. And that's partly why we finalized the rule that we did recently, is just for those limited partners, those investors, to get further information. I think, Senator, you're asking about whether there's broader public disclosure, right. Which would be, we'd stand ready if that's what Congress desired.
Finally, these reports that communist Chinese elements are using private vehicles and Russian oligarchs, does that concern you, and what are you doing if it does?
As a general matter, I think we all probably share the concern about bad actors, whether they be state actors or non-state actors, that use our capital markets for nefarious means. And we do work with other agencies of the U.S. government from time to time around matters of concern. And as we earlier talked about, really working with our colleagues at the Department of Treasury around anti-money laundering and the Bank Secrecy Act in the investment advisor space.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, madam.
One moment. We're going to close. Thank you, Chair Gensler, for your testimony today. For senators who wish to submit questions for the record,
There we
those
go.
questions.
We got out of that one nice and easy. Shout out to everybody here on the live. Thank you for jumping on in. 12:05. Back to the corniest music on earth. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to everybody here on the live stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. We're not done with the super chats. We're going to finish them up because we timestamped them and you're going to be able to see them no matter what. Talking about Bitcoin too, I've been watching Bitcoin the whole time. You know, I didn't stop tracking BTC. So Bitcoin getting bullish here with a push to the upside. And honestly, you know, the 15-minute looks somewhat bullish. And I was looking at this as a possible futures trade here. You know, it would be in the money right now at 26,238. However, there's just some also, you know, I'm getting some mixed signals for Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about that right now. So the 7-minute, you know, you got this wacky up and down pattern. You're far away on the moving average, which usually tells you you're going to make a move down. You got some bearish divvy as well on the RSI. So it tells me that we may get a bit of a pullback here for Bitcoin. Making sense of the pattern, something like so, you know? Or do you say, oh, you left the pattern twice and came back inside or something? You know what I mean? It just, I don't get a clean idea here. So, yeah, that was a lackluster pump. I don't know. What I'm looking at is this 7. It does look like a shoulder. That's why I didn't open the long. Looks like a head and shoulder pattern here with a bit of a double top at resistance. If Bitcoin breaks out and tests 250, great. That's a long. But it's looking like it might come down and break down to the 200 SMA here on the 7-minute. I got a little fib drawn here, and the mini fib from this wick does suggest we could come down to the 618, even the 786 at that high volume node at 25,800. So 25.8, an area that I'm looking at for a key pullback for Bitcoin. All right. And yeah. And so that's the idea in the smaller time frame. The 1 hour, I'll take a look at the 1 hour for you and show you kind of another idea. And then we'll get to those super chats and get those taken care of. All right. We'll look at like the Coinbase USD chart. And I'm all about the one. And look, there's that inverted head and shoulder right there. Play the right shoulder, you were gone. Stop loss. I mean, it's just amazing how simple stuff plays out. And then this ended up making a symmetrical. And it retested that previous support zone. Just amazing, you know. And here you're retesting this now too. Because you have some wicks up here, which you're bouncing off of. Right. But amazing, man. We called that reversal. We saw the divergence. Learn divergences with us every day and you will be amazed. Now, number one, moving average is now far away from the 200 SMA. Price action likes, you know, look, it goes through it. It just kind of makes this move. And there's a bearish div here on the 7, which tells me that, you know, you got this going on here. So do you consolidate? And do you stay above 26,000? I was looking at it just on the 1 hour, knowing that the 1 hour would have to come back to its 21 SMA. And so really simply put, you know, once you get back above here, you can get some money. You know, you're back above the point of control, so you're bullish right now, just short-term bullish, back above the POC. Pretty amazing we're back above here. The Bears must just be like what the, like, guys like me who accumulated yesterday and just keep grabbing a little bit on the red days are just happy. We use the red days to grab it up, baby, while everyone's bugging out. So to me, I'm just looking for this pullback. And I'm looking for the 21 day to come into price. If the 21 crosses the moving averages too, it's a good sign. Kind of almost has to pull price up a little bit more for that to happen. It's almost like we need another push. But I'm looking at something similar to this here, you know? And we don't know. Like, I'm always open-minded. It could be like this. It could be an ascending. It could be a bull pennant. It could be a symmetrical. It could be a falling wedge. But we just know it's going to consolidate to the 21 before it can make another move. And the stochastics are overbought. So the smart idea is to short Bitcoin back to the 21 SMA right now. And the key areas that we're looking for are 26, you know, if we can stay above 26,200, which is like right where we're at, right? There's a line right here. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Resistance right here and another area right there. So basically, yeah, and if you lose the point of control at 25,860, 850, you're back inside this pattern, and then you're back down to the bottom of, you're coming back somewhere down here again, which could happen. You know, anything is possible. We'll stay open-minded to that idea. All right. So that's the story. I would watch sideways or downward price action for Bitcoin until, you know, further notice. This looks like a head and shoulder pattern beginning to form. That could give you some money. So short term, is the idea that you got a shoulder, a head, a right shoulder, the entry on the stop loss above the wick, and take this somewhere down to the 200 SMA to this next level. So I see a short, you know, for Bitcoin. Honestly, I don't know if we're going to go that low to 25.6. You know what I mean? So only time will tell. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Actually, I got to get to these super chats real quick. Hold on. Shout out to the fan funding, by the way. Shout out to Engine USD. We'll take a look at that. Shout out to AGIX, MCUSD, Marty McFly, we love you. And Render, 5-minute and 15-minute flag. Salam alaikum, brother. I pray for the victims in Morocco. Thank you for saying that too, Zachariah. Look at Engine, AGIX, and MC. All right. Let's look at MC USDT here on MEXC Merit Circle. All right. I had an alert on it. I wanted to see it continue its consolidation. All right. Just keep watching it like so if it can stay inside that lane. But look, it lost the, you can see it, if you break it back in, it lost the point of control right there. It had to kind of stay back above that and stay, if it was, now if it had done this, completely different story. Sorry. If it did this, a completely different story. But it chose to bearishly retest the trend line. No good, right? Didn't even get stopped out yet, but maybe something that, you know. So, let's look. Starting to make the falling wedge now, right? Look at your daily. So it's a very small coin with not a lot of information. So it also tells you, you know, it's some high risk for that reason. We draw Fibonacci here. It came back down to the 618 Fibonacci level. We see a bit of a falling wedge here. You know, it tells me that it probably wants to come back down into that golden pocket. Merit circle. So it negates what I was looking at before because it lost the trend. You see that? Once the trend is lost, you got to rebuild. Look at that beautiful Adam and Eve. I just love it. The Adam and Eve double bottom. It's just so textbook. See that? Bang. So I see a bit of a cup and handle here for Merit Circle coming back down to the golden pocket. I keep an alert here and see that possibly come lower. I'd expect the 4 hour to be a little overbought. Let's take a look. And it's curving down. and there's a low, and now the 4-hour broke below the 200 SMA. That's bearish when you do that, okay? Once the 4-hour breaks below the 200 SMA, you should assume that the daily will come for it. If you can't find it on the daily, there it is on the 22. So I'm expecting for price action to come and find that 200 SMA on the 22-hour time frame for merit circle. All right. Let's take a look at AGIX, which has been super low for accumulation right now. 17 cents. I mean, this thing has just been boshed. Now, we talked about a short on that 15-minute last time I looked at it. And the short did play out, right? We made gains of, let's see, it didn't hit the target, but we made gains of about 6.91% on the short, right? Let's take a look at AGIX. I haven't looked at it in a few days. First thing I like to hone in is the 3-day. Not a lot of information on MEXC. Might have a little more on the other time frame, on the other exchanges. Just got this huge falling wedge with resistance. It needs to breach this diagonal trend, see? It's got some bullish div here on the daily as it's not as sharp down, and even here is some bullish div. The daily's pushing up while that is pushing flat. Could definitely be a bottom in area for AGIX here. But, you know, you're at a resistance too. Like, you can't seem to get back above 19. Taking longer, Gary Gensler talks, and we had a segment. Yeah. Wow. My wife wants to make sweet pie, apple pie, and she, what? You're upset? You still feel sick? My wife's been sick for 4 days now? 4 days? 5 days? Thank God I've been strong and healthy like an ox to take the family in my arms. AGIX is showing signs of weakness. Can't seem to get above this level here at 17, you know? I'm going to look at it on a bigger chart. I know there's a chart with more information. I don't know if it's KuCoin or Binance. How is this music on? And I didn't notice. The worst music ever. The channel with the worst music ever. We got to change the music fast. It's horrible. It's destroying my life. Okay, so here we go. You got to really, I need to see all this data. Wow, so I remember when we first found this coin at 4 cents, and it would blast all the way up to 66 on that AI revival, and just been getting sold off ever since. Like, slow blow, like, it's just amazing. Finally flattening out on the divergence, and a little bit of a divergence there. Daily oversold. Honestly, like, it's almost like an inverted cup and handle, though. Like, here's the cup, and like, there's the handle, right? And it's going to go further to the downside. You're at like a key level of support. If you lose this level here at 15, your next stop is 11 cents. And then even further down to 8 cents. This thing, and honestly, I'm a big holder of this. I hold a lot of it. This thing looks like it's going to go pretty far down. It has to double, you know, I would wait for it to, you know, I wouldn't long it till it broke above here and retested 20 cents, you know. If you believe in the project, it's a good time to DCA, right? A little bit goes a long way. And there's Bitcoin falling to the downside now, just getting that pullback. There's your 7-minute right shoulder, and that's a head and shoulder pattern likely to break to the downside. And we talked about it. We showed you some levels, and we showed you how the 1 hour is likely to pull back to as well. So I see pullback for Bitcoin. All right. Can we look at JASMY? JASMY would be following most of these coins, probably super low, trying to bounce off a div or something. the previous time that it had this, we talked about it. And look, it's doing that same thing now that I circled before. So previous resistance became support. It has to hold that zone. It has to bounce from here. If it can't bounce from here, look for more downside, and there's just some trouble in paradise here. A lot of altcoins are struggling. Remember, Bitcoin dominance could get a move, and that's not good for altcoins. JASMY can't get above this. It's got more downside. Somewhere back here at the bottom of the pattern at 3.3. It's got a cup and handle. It played off the divergence, then got resistance, came back down, found a, it's attempting to double bottom here. But resistance, I mean, previous support became resistance. There's a high, there's a low, there's a lower high. You expect a lower low in the trend. Then you would need a higher low. So I don't know. I'm more bearish on JASMY than bullish. Can't get back above 3.567. An injective protocol for USD here. I'm going to give you the USDT because that's kind of how I have it. It's the same though, don't worry. So I like injective where it was at. It continues to hold a higher low. It has been the most boring trade, been ranging for basically 3 weeks from this low here at 676, back up and down, back to a no low at 685. I believe this is a great project long term, something that could easily 10 to 20x, without a lot of stress. So injective protocol. Remember, we got in at $1.70 back when it first came out in January, when we were looking at it in January, not when it first came out, but I mean, the buy zone is still real. Nothing has really changed about this. There's the cup and handle, low, high, higher, low, hanging in there. I'm expecting a bounce to the upside at one point and then consolidated price action for injective back up to 16. So, yeah, this is still exactly kind of where I left it. Let's take a look. Volatile price action has been extremely volatile today for Bitcoin. Just kind of all over the place. Up and down all around, right? And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we just got an insane short squeeze. Bookmap does suggest we go higher. So if you just trust Bookmap and nothing else, like no TA at all, and Bookmap's been dangerously accurate with doing this. So you just long the fact that we're going to go to this liquidity and call it a day and walk away. And Bookmap's been pretty eerily right about doing that. So technically, this is bullish consolidation. It just defied the right shoulder there, right? Seems like Bitcoin's heating up for a short squeeze right now. Like it's about to explode out. The 15-minute looks bullish to me. But I see a shoulder head and a right shoulder. It's, I'm going to rest my brain and come back and do an update in about an hour because I've been doing too much TA for too long and you get mush after a while. You got to give yourself a break. Otherwise, you just can't see it. You can't see things clearly and you got to give yourself a moment in time. What's telling me to be careful is the 21 and the 200 are just too far apart here. But we can continue sideways, and the 200 get pulled out, right? So I see sideways or downward price action. And like I told you, the best bet is just to watch the 1 hour and know that it's going to have to consolidate at one point to the 21-day moving average. And Bookmap does suggest we go higher at one point later on this afternoon or later. Everybody, thank you so much for this extended live. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. May God bless you all. 507 people, 406 likes, $40 in chat revenue, 1 new membership. God bless you all for being here. Thank you so much. Listen, if you want to jump on into my teaching, I teach class the last Saturday of every month. There's a link in the description below. Shout out to Reed. Thank you, Lifer. Shout out to everyone that threw down a super chat. Marty McFly, Zachariah, The Gambit, my man, Check Render, and everybody that comes through to the stream every single day. May God bless the live chat. May God bless you all. And join the trading group, link right there. Join MEXC, link right there. The Facebook group as well. We also have a mailing list that I'm building. You're going to get an awesome newsletter every single Monday. Check that out. It'll blow your mind. So everyone, I can't wait to see where we go in 2024 as we come into the last quarter of 2023. And I'll see you all tomorrow for a beautiful live stream at 10 a.m. again. God bless you all. Thank you so much. The gratitude is the attitude. And we'll be back for another beautiful live stream tomorrow. And thank you again. I appreciate it.